Police received letters from the Food and Environmental Hygiene Department at the end of last month. The letter stated that national security conditions were added to the terms of the license and permits upon new issuance or renewal. New conditions stipulate that license and permit holders as well as their related persons must refrain from engaging in any offending conduct. The director of the Food and Environmental Hygiene Department can revoke the license if their acts are deemed to be detrimental to national security and Hong Kong's public interest. According to the authorities, offending conduct refers to criminal acts that may potentially pose harm to national security. Related persons refer to board members, managers, employees, agents, and contractors. Such newly added requirements also apply to licenses for entertainment places and food factories. Senior counsel Ronnie Tong believes the court will not easily incriminate someone by his words. He said whether a statement is considered as offensive should be evaluated based on a series of factors, such as the context, underlying meaning, and who made the statement. For example, he said, if someone used foul language against the country's leader, this could be deemed offensive against national dignity. Simon Wong, president of the Hong Kong Federation of Restaurants and Related Trades, believes everyone should obey the law and owners of eateries can seek legal advice if they are not sure about the regulations. Once the license is revoked, holders can file an appeal within 14 days. Samantha Lee, News.
Hong Kong pianist Aristo Sham Ching Tao won the Van Cliven International Piano Competition. He was congratulated by Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism, Rosanna Law. The 29-year-old is the first Hong Kong pianist to win the prestigious competition, which is held once every 4 years in Texas, USA. Sham received a prize of $100,000 after meeting 29 other competitors. The prodigy began learning when he was 3 years old and started composing at 6. He graduated from Harvard University with a bachelor's degree in economics and earned a master's degree at the New England Conservatory of Music. 2,000 U.S. National Guard troops have arrived ready to be deployed in Los Angeles, sent in by Donald Trump to stop violent clashes between the protesters and police that were sparked by raids and arrests as part of the president's immigration policy. David Gabbard reports.
Arguments with officers in the streets of Paramount in southern Los Angeles. Police created a human chain across the street. Rocks have been thrown at border control guards. Fires were lit with debris littering the road. Police fired flashbangs in response. This happening outside an industrial park where alleged illegal workers were taken away. More than 40 detained in various locations across the city over a couple of days. Donald Trump has vowed mass deportations of undocumented workers. The president now says he's sending the National Guard to LA. The Defense Secretary threatened to deploy the military. U.S. immigration authorities active again with hundreds attending another protest at a federal detention facility in Paramount, which is a predominantly Latino district.
We see you for what you are, a terrorist organization. Out of Paramount. You are not welcome here.
Police again with strong-arm tactics as they force people away from the gate. People tried to shield themselves from tear gas. The Democratic California governor posting on X that Trump's arrests are inflammatory. Gavin Newsom adding that federal authorities were not acting the way a civilized country behaves. As demonstrators recovered from tear gas, some visibly shaken. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement's acting director and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass also at odds on social media on how these demonstrators should be dealt with. Bass saying the government is sowing terror. ICE's director Todd Lyons writing that Bass is choosing the side of chaos and lawlessness. As the crowd did disperse, US and Mexican flags were seen being waved. In another part of town, a fire at a road junction causing further disruption. A car is set ablaze as protesters vent further frustrations. Fire trucks and police officers arrived to clear the roadblock. There were also scuffles in New York, but the focus is on the country's second largest city, with 2,000 National Guard troops set to hit LA's already tense streets. Trump's deployment could ease or escalate those tensions. David Garrett, TVB News.
Trump is reportedly planning to extend the pause on enforcing the TikTok ban deadline for a third time. Trump has twice extended the pause to give the app and potential US buyers, as well as the Chinese government, more time to reach a deal, but little progress has been made. The chances of a deal being reached between the US and China are low, with issues such as tariffs not helping negotiations. The current pause is due to end on June 19th. The US State Department has reportedly instructed consulates to resume processing Harvard University-related visas. According to the Washington Post, the State Department on Friday told consular offices around the world to resume processing visas for Harvard University international students and exchange visitors, rescinding a guidance issued the day before. The directive came after a federal judge temporarily blocked President Trump's proclamation that barred visas for foreign students in the Ivy League school. The order will reinstate their ability to enter the US to attend Harvard until the court hearing is scheduled for June the 16th. Israel's defense minister has ordered the military to block a Gaza-bound aid boat with Greta Thunberg on board, vowing Israel will act against any attempt to break its naval blockade of the enclave. 12 activists set sail last Sunday with a stated claim to deliver urgently needed supplies for people in the war-battered Gaza Strip. Among those on board are Swedish climate champion Greta Thunberg, Brazilian politician and activist Tiago Villa, and French doctor Baptiste Andre. They were on a UK-flagged flotilla called Madly, which is operated by the Freedom Flotilla Coalition. The boat was sailing north of the Egyptian coastal city of Rosetta Sunday morning, according to a live tracker. The Israeli military is preparing to intercept Madly. Israel comes, the country's defense minister made clear that the flotilla will not be allowed to reach Gaza, adding Israel will act against any attempt to break the blockade or support terror groups by sea, air, or land. Health workers in Gaza say at least 4 people are dead after another shooting at an aid distribution center. Israel's military say they directed warning shots after they were approached by a group and is disputing the numbers of dead or injured. It happened before dawn the year after. The IDF say this is an active combat zone at night. The bodies were brought to Nasser Hospital in Gaza's Khan Yunis, which confirmed the death toll. Palestinian witnesses said Israeli forces fired on them at a roundabout at about 6 a.m. Israel mourned the death of a young soldier killed in an explosion at a compound in Gaza. Friends, relatives, and military colleagues of the 19-year-old Yoav Rava laid him to rest with hundreds in attendance. Philippine military officials said a Chinese vessel ran aground near a Philippines-occupied island in contested waters of the South China Sea on Saturday. The vessel was later extricated. The boat got stranded in shallow waters near Tutu Island due to adverse weather. Residents on the island noted the vessel was only about 3 kilometers away from their village. Philippine forces and Coast Guard were dispatched to the site to offer assistance, but found the ship had been freed. A spokesperson for the military said they could not provide other details, including whether there's damage to the boat or injuries to the crew. The police said the officer who leapt off an elevated road leading to Shenzhen Bay Bridge is conscious, still in critical condition. More footage emerged of the incident. Here's the breathtaking moment. The officer forced to leap off the highway to avoid being hit by an oncoming city bus, double-decker. He is now hospitalized in Tulum. Commissioner of Police Joe Cho said the injured officer is still in the intensive care unit. The good news is he has regained consciousness. The Hong Kong government is reviewing a decades-old prohibition on dogs in food premises, possibly easing the law. Legal experts are proposing phased trials as the city weighs public health concerns against a growing demand for pet-friendly spaces. Celine Chan tells us more.
Under the current legal framework, all dogs are barred from food premises. The only exceptions are guide dogs and dogs in connection with the exercise of a lawful power. This pet-friendly restaurant was forced to suspend operations for 7 days earlier this year after violating the rule. Following its reopening, the restaurant implemented a no-dog policy and would only offer priority window seating to pet owners.
都唔排除會好多部分咧會
Despite recognizing some patrons' concerns over allergies and the problem of xenophobia, Mr. Ong, the restaurant's owner, finds the inconsistency in pet policies unfair, as only dogs are prohibited from entering. Authorities are currently looking into relaxing the decades-old ban on dogs in dining establishments.
And it's so inconvenient for us to, we always want to lunch or dinner with our pets, but I think there's only this choice. When I travel with mainland China, there's maybe they have more free to allow the pets to maybe the shopping mall and restaurant. Even though I think a bit far away, Hong Kong is much restricted.
Some people have allergies, so I feel like it's best if you don't bring your dogs. Sometimes I feel bad for the dogs just staying at home all day.
Barrister Albert Look explained the current prohibition on dogs in dining establishments stems from 1950s public health concerns over the outbreak of rabies. With the advancement of rabies vaccines and the atmosphere of a responsible pet culture, he believes there is room to modernize the policies. He proposed implementing a pilot scheme that would allow licensed restaurants to open outdoor areas to pet dogs, with the aim of gradually modernizing regulations based on accumulated experience before considering broader expansion. The Environment and Ecology Bureau earlier stated that the government needs to take into consideration different factors, including public health, when examining the legislation. The Bureau, together with the Food and Environmental Hygiene Department, is conducting research on practices and experiences in other places and will carefully consider whether there is room for relaxing the current restrictions. Celine Chan, TV News.
A San Francisco organization hopes to use Cantonese as a cultural exchange bridge between China and the U.S. The Mosenai reports.
Peter has been learning Cantonese for more than 30 years. Apart from his passion for Chinese culture, Peter listed out the reasons for learning Cantonese.
I think that studying language gives you a free cultural lesson, so that's the way I like to do it.
Meanwhile, Clayton decided to learn Cantonese because of his Hong Kong wife and children. After learning the language for 2 years, he can now speak it fluently.
I'm going to have another daughter, and both of them are going to grow up speaking Cantonese, so I can't be left behind. And I want them to feel comfortable speaking Cantonese, with me, not just with their mother. I love Cantonese idioms. I think that it's a very colorful language.
Clara Xu, Executive Director of Clarion Performing Arts Center, also the teacher of Peter and Clayton, as well as other San Francisco Cantonese learners, said she is already satisfied when her students could speak a few sentences in the language. An organization said they hope Cantonese can become the bridge between China and U.S. cultural exchanges.
Whenever we joke with each other in Cantonese, or people are able to even just greet each other, I think that really can diffuse a lot of tension right there.
The organization also plans to design children's books and play Cantonese films with English subtitles in the community. Witness 9, TVB News.
Day 2 of the Hong Kong International Dragon Boat races were held at St. Charles Way Promenade today. One of the highlights was the fancy dress competition. Can you name the characters the athletes are dressed as? The atmosphere of the International Dragon Boat races was pushed up to another level. Athletes maintained their motivation to compete in the races despite the heat. This group of monkey kings from the Chinese novel Journey to the West won the cosplay competition. The 2-day Dragon Boat event gathered more than 4,500 athletes from 12 countries and regions. The remains of former Vice Chairman of the Central Military Commission, Xu Qiliang, were cremated in Beijing on Sunday. President Xi Jinping attended the ceremony. The farewell was held at Babangshan Revolutionary Cemetery. The CCP flag was laid on Xu's coffin. President Xi arrived at the cemetery to pay his respects. Xu passed away due to illness at the age of 75 last Monday.